Hello, Pod Fam, and hello, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm good, Laura. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I went to the gym today.
Lovely,
Yep.
lovely.
Yep. So that was mission accomplished. How about you?
I am good. I'm very proud of myself today because when my alarm went off at 7, I got out of bed at 7:30 as opposed to 7:45.
Wow, you were on it today.
I was on it. And I mean like I kind of set my alarm at 7 cuz I know that I want to snooze for like 2 3 cycles.
Yes, of
So
course.
I'm like, between 7:30 and 7:45, it's fine. But I'm just glad that the our work holiday break is starting soon because with the days getting shorter and shorter as we get closer to the 21st, like I don't think I'll make it out of bed right
Nah,
before.
me neither.
Like I'm having a rough go of things. It's so dark and I don't like it. And I also have like I live a bit out of town. Like, I'm a bit more of a rural environment, so it's dark.
Yeah, it's not like you have street lights.
No, no, but yeah, that was a little win for me today, I had to tell you about it. Otherwise, I am doing the marathon that is editing our Red episode. Yep.
Yes, yes. And by the time that this one comes out, the red episode will already be out, and we are releasing it as
Yep.
a bonus episode. So if you haven't
Mhm.
listened to it, definitely turn it on. She's a marathon. She's a long one.
She was a marathon to record, and she is a marathon to edit, but let me tell you, I've left it pretty raw because we say some good things.
Awesome. So everyone can listen to us cry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we actually literally cry twice.
Yep, it happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what our podcast is about. Welcome.
That's really all you need to know. So if you're new here, buckle in.
Exactly. Well, what are you drinking today?
I have my Don't Worry, Be Happy tea again with me. I think I had it a few weeks ago now. And I don't know. I just was really feeling it. And I felt like just the name of it was giving me an energy boost. And I really need that right now. So,
I
yeah.
love that you went for the calm and cool tea
Yep.
because tonight I know I'm going to be spicy. So I went
Yes.
for the winter spice chai.
Good call, good call.
Yeah.
See, I'm just trying to keep myself from getting so over like worked up in this that we're here for 5 hours. So I was like, let's subdue myself a bit. Boost my energy,
Perfect.
but be subdued. Be subdued.
Perfect. And before we get into it, how did you enjoy the end of season 4 One Tree Hill?
I am savoring it for a few weeks, I think, because I just know that season 5, episode 1, I don't have any knowledge of what happens in that episode, but I just know that the writers are going to do that thing where they're like, remember those happy episodes, those happy endings at the end of season 4? Those don't exist now. It's been 4 years. Just wipe them all off the table. So I'm just savoring it because it was just so good.
It
I
was so
honestly
perfect.
feel it was so perfect. And I feel like my opinion, just mostly because I feel like I'm a bit biased because you've seen it. So I've heard your opinions. But I do feel like that would have been the absolute perfect ending. And there's the part of you that almost wishes that the last shot of that show forever was just the freeze frame of Nathan and Lucas playing on the
I
river court
know.
together.
I know. It's so good.
It's so
And
good.
like there's some music in that whole show that like you will never listen to the same way again
Mm-hmm.
because it just always will now have that like, oh, this was a One Tree Hill song and I know it happened in this moment.
Yeah.
And I actually have kind of a funny story. So, well, we've been watching the first 4 seasons. I've been like revisiting and downloading a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the songs
Mm-hmm.
from the show.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one song in particular. It's called "La Disco." It's by Shiny Toy Guns.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recognized it on the show, and I was just like, oh, I used to love that song. I'm gonna download it. And I didn't really listen to it yet. Like I kind of like left it there for a couple weeks. And then I was in my car the other day and the
Mhm.
song comes on. And as I'm listening, I'm just like, why why am I having a flashback of like a dance routine to this song? And then it dawned on me, oh my God. So in high school, it was mandatory that you took at least like one art class.
Yes.
And it could be music, art, or drama. I am not
Okay.
good at art or music, so I took drama.
Fair.
And a lot of the projects that we had were creating music videos.
Oh my god.
Yes. And so as I'm driving along, I'm starting to remember all the moves to this
No.
music video. And thank God this was like before school projects and anything was posted to YouTube, because
Yep.
somewhere in the ether is a music video of my friends and I dancing to this song. And I don't know how we got away with it in a grade 10 drama class.
Oh my god.
Yep. So I
I
wonder
love
if
it.
that little DVD or even VHS, who knows what it was recorded on, might one day come to light. I hope
Little
it doesn't.
cassette tape.
It could be a cassette tape. Who knows what it was recorded on? But yes, somewhere out there, there is a video of a bunch of grade 10 girls dancing to this song and not very well.
I love it. I mean, I personally wanna find that just for my files. That would be the crowning jewel, shall we say.
It was a high. It was a high moment. And the funny thing was, like, we did so many music videos and little skits in this drama class. And I remember one of the final ones we did was of Spice Girls,
Yep.
Spice Up Your Life.
Mhm.
And we were like a group of almost all girls, and we
Mhm.
were each like one of the Spice Girls. And then
Mhm.
my friend, hats off to him, he was stuck in our group.
Oh, it's like mouth.
Yes. Yeah, he was very much like a mouth. Like, shout out to him because we made him Scary Spice,
Oh
and
my god.
the boy committed because he came to our little recording performance in a full length like faux cheetah jacket.
Amazing.
It was amazing. It was
Where did
amazing,
he
and
get
he
that from?
I it was like a costumey thing. Like, who knows where he got
Amazing.
it from. He kinda looked like a pimp in the video, but
Amazing.
he committed and was dedicated with us and did all the dance moves, and he was a rock star.
Amazing.
Yeah, so having that little flashback moment to grade 10 drama class just made me think of those times, and somewhere all those videos exist. And
Yep.
I pray to God our drama teacher burned them.
Yep. See, I've just come to the conclusion, similar, similar vein to you, but not at all. I think I've been watching too much One Tree Hill because of an experience that happened yesterday that you were on the phone with me for, right?
Right?
And it was probably like 8:30 at night, and my boyfriend wasn't home. So I was kind of like, okay, the roads are a bit bad, but that's fine. And as I was on the phone with you, he called me like 3 times. And it was like kind of 10 minutes in between. And it was pretty late. Like he had told me he was going grocery shopping like 2 to 3 hours before. And I swear to God, I was like, Laura, I need to get off the phone. And she was like, why? And I'm like, because he's in the ditch somewhere, freezing, about to be kidnapped by a fake brother.
He's probably bleeding out as well, you know.
Probably bleeding out. Like, he might end up in the hospital. Who knows? And yeah, that was when I'm like, I really need to just take a break because every horrible thing that happens to Peyton, I've now assumed will happen to me in my life.
Because it's just super realistic.
Oh, very, very, very realistic.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
for our listeners, he was fine.
oh
He was
yes, he was
literally
100.
leaving the grocery store and letting her know.
Yeah, it was very sweet, but I swear to God, I was like, Laura, I have to get off the phone. He's dead. It's all going to hell. And immediately once I got off the phone, I just texted you and I was just like, I think I'm watching too much One Tree Hill. So
Yeah.
then I replaced the stress of One Tree Hill with the stress of Outlander season 3, but that's the story for another day.
It is, because today we are talking about side hustle culture, and this one is one
Uh,
we've had it on the list for a long time, and we kept, like, pushing it back and back because 'cause we're just like, "We need to be in the right space to
yep.
be able to tackle this episode."
Yep. So, oh, can I start us off with a definition just
Yeah,
to, get it out there? Basically, hustle culture, it's built around the assumption that if you work hard enough, your success is basically guaranteed, which, spoiler alert, it's not. And hustle culture is the mindset that you need to work all day, every day, very often doing multiple different jobs or projects in order to meet your personal or financial goals. So it's overworking to a point where it becomes your lifestyle and you don't have any time for anything else. And I don't know if you agree with this, Laura, but in my opinion, it just seems like a fancy buzzword for workaholism to just make it sound less horrible. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, and if we were recording this episode, like, 4 years ago,
Oh, 100%.
my viewpoint would be 100% different on
Yep.
where it is today. And I'm gonna probably come off, like, really spicy and really salty, and I just wanna, like, put my own disclaimer out here that the things that I am, angry about
Mhm.
are, like, the societal pressures and norms. It's not
Yes.
people who, like, want to have a side business,
No, no.
and potentially, like, make that their main income, or, uh they just do it because they love it. I am not firing at those people. It's society that I'm mad at. So, please don't take offense if I kind of come off a little sharp. And
Mhm.
really, like, if you have a little business that you love, share it with us, because, like, we definitely want to check it out and support you.
Mhm.
And let's get into it, Rachel. Um,
Yeah. Before we jump off, I just wanted to add to that. Like, yeah, it's definitely just more the societal pressure and especially the words that come from very successful people that create a toxic environment where you're being told over and over again, you're not successful unless you work 80 plus hours a week, which is just it's not really true.
no,
So,
and yeah, like, what I'm really mad at is that people are not making enough
no.
from their full-time job, that they have to
Mhm.
take on these extra jobs.
Mhm.
Um, and I saw this great thing, and it's now, like, my new motto: "It shouldn't take 2 jobs to live 1 life." Let's start with the word hustle. I I
Uh,
fucking hate this word. I absolutely hate the word hustle, and the reason why, is because I think of the hustler kid from Recess. Do you remember
oh
that
my
guy?
god.
He had the
Yes, I
trench
do.
coat. He would, like,
Yeah.
kinda speak in that low, fast voice and then open up his trench coat. He'd have, like, math test answers or watches, like,
Oh
just
my
that whole
god.
persona, and that's what I always think about hustle. And so right at the start of this episode, if you are someone who is a quote, unquote, "side hustler," throw that word out,
Yep.
because you need to own what you do. If it's something that you love and you are proud of, tell people you have a business, you have a venture. Don't, like, make it an afterthought. If it's something that you love, own that. Um, so that is why, like, I personally don't say side hustle very often. I'll say, like, side venture, side business, even a side job, just because I
Mhm.
hate that word hustle so much, and I think it has such, like, a negative connotation,
Mhm.
especially in today's society. Like, it's
Mhm.
just so overused, and it's not healthy. So no more side hustle.
Well, I think as well, just the word hustle in general, because I feel like that exists as well in roles where they don't necessarily have a side business, but they give 100% of their time basically to their big corporate job,
Right.
Like they are always the first one into the office and always the last one out. Like the lines between their personal life and their work life are like completely non-existent. Like they're reachable at all hours of the day. Like I just think that that word in general as a definition of success and something you need to do to be successful doesn't jive.
No, like, it's just a toxic word on its own, and I kinda wanna run down of things like, a list of things that are not normal. First one,
Yes.
financial anxiety.
Mhm.
Number 2, monetizing your hobbies. Number 3 is glorifying overworking,
Mhm.
and number 4 is self-optimization. These are not normal things. These are things that have just been created and boosted, and everyone's talking about them and doing them. So now we feel like we need to do it. And if you don't have, you know, another source of income, or if you're not working yourself to death, you are considered not normal. And
Mhm.
really, like, the thing that's not normal is all those things that I just mentioned.
Yep. And another one to add on that that I know will get you going even more is feeling like rest, socializing, or any sort of activity that could give you personal pleasure is a waste of time.
Yep, that really boils my blood. Not gonna lie.
Not gonna lie.
The summary of it all is, we shouldn't be applauding overworking because it's not a badge of honor,
No,
like, and in the corporate world, speaking from experience and listening to other people's experiences, like, no one pats you on the back for working more hours.
no.
No one. Or for not taking your vacation. No one is gonna pat you on the back for that. They're probably not gonna remember or even acknowledge it. They're gonna be like, "Oh, thanks for doing that. Here's some more work."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you get rewarded with more responsibility for 0 extra compensation.
Yeah, because, I feel like a lot of employers have this idea in their head where people work for more than just money, and granted, like, it's nice to have perks,
Mhm.
but really, 99% of the people in the world only work to be able to afford things for their
Yeah.
life. So, like, free pizza Fridays and, you know, casual Fridays are not going to make up for a lack of financial compensation or a lack of freedom in their time.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
don't accept that if that's what's on the table.
Mhm. And then on the other side with the employee, if we're staying in that vein, or even with people starting out, it's the feeling that the harder that you work, the more celebrated that you are. And then the further you're going to get because you're more celebrated. But like we just said, oftentimes it's maybe like oh, yeah, thanks for getting that done over the weekend. But you're not standing out. You just made their job easier.
Yeah, and I think, this is a big thing when it comes to women,
Yes.
because a very common theme that you see is that, and actually, we talked about this with Preeti many times, over on the Empowered Woman Rises podcast, is that, men are promoted based on their potential
Mhm.
and women on their past experience.
Yeah.
So, I find with women, like, we almost feel like we need to be the people pleasers. We need to work hard so we can, like, make a stand in our companies to be able to succeed. But
Mhm.
in many cases, like, so many of these women we're overworking, they're sacrificing time with friends and family and their own mental health just to watch other people get promoted ahead of them.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, I think it's a very sad thing to see. So, I'm not
Mhm.
telling people, like, don't try at your jobs, like, obviously, like, do well
Try.
and be proud of what you do, but, don't work yourself to the bone if there's no benefit. That's
Mhm.
really what I'm coming from.
Yeah. And there was something that I wanted to ask you because there is an illusion or perception around. hustling, that you're being more productive and more efficient. But on my end, like you're exhausted all the time, you're stressed and you're overwhelmed and just anxious in general, that I find it actually makes you less productive. Do you agree
Yes,
with that?
yes, I'm actually so glad you brought this up because there is something called the law of diminishing returns.
Mhm.
So this is like a total output versus total input curve where
Mhm.
in the first stage, there's productive phase. The graph is on the rise because at the start, every unit of input leads to productive gains.
Yeah.
And then you get to this point, and it's called the point of diminishing returns.
Mhm.
So it's that kind of finite space where, yes, you are able to continue doing more input, more hours, more work. However, the gain that you're getting is not the same as that initial productive phase.
Mhm.
So once you hit that point, any additional input will give you a slower gain in output.
Yeah.
And that is until you get to the point of maximum output. So, like, you're working 24/7. Let's be
Mhm.
like a little bit unrealistic here. But for some people, not unrealistic. And that is when you cross over and the chart starts going down, and that is the negative returns. So once you reach this phase, every additional input will give you negative returns. So it's like you're so exhausted that even write an email, you're making mistakes, you're leaving things out.
Mhm.
If you have a very like tactile job, maybe you're breaking something or just can't quite get it right.
Mhm.
And there's nothing left. So why should we continue if there is no more benefit?
Well, it's that thing where you're moving from quality to just quantity
Yes.
in what you're doing. And the more and more you push yourself to put out there and produce, you're not doing your best work. It's just going to get kind of crappier and crappier if we're being brutally honest.
Yeah, and that's what this whole hustle culture is about. Is it's not about quality.
No.
It's just about quantity.
Hmm. And it doesn't just impact the quality of your work, but it also just impacts generally the quality of you as a person. Because I know we're going to get into our experiences a bit more later. But for instance, like there was a period of time where I was working like 3 jobs at one time, and I know you've been in this situation as well, and you were with me when that was happening, but, like, I was mean because like, I was tired, and I was always stressed out, and I was always going from point A to point B, that, like, I was snapping at people, like, I wasn't taking care of my body, I was, like, literally becoming a shell of myself.
Yeah, I do remember that. And same things happen to me. And what it is, it's burnout. It's literal burnout, which is now, I actually saw this in an article today that burnout is a new workplace disease that people are ending up in the hospital for. So it's actually something that is threatening your life.
With hustling and hustle culture, it's pretty much almost inevitable that it's gonna happen. Like, you can only work at that speed and that intensity for so long before it happens.
Yeah, and it's such a problem in like the millennial generation and the Gen Zs because, we can barely make it with just one full-time job
Mhm,
that we have to take on more. So, no wonder this generation is not going to live as long as their parents
mhm,
because you're just adding stress, you're adding unhealthy lifestyles, and that is a big killer. It's a silent killer, but like
mhm.
it's going to catch up with so many people and it's just absolutely devastating.
And it is an unhealthy lifestyle, but social media and just media in general have found a way to display it to the world in a way where if you are not hustling, you are a failure and you're not doing enough.
Insert Elon Musk.
Oh my god, I'm so glad you had his line, 'cause I had his too, and I was just like, "Oh, it made me so mad."
Oh my gosh, like the things that the man tweets. he admittedly works over 100 hours a week, and obviously, like, he's done well for himself, but I remember seeing this floating around a few months ago. It was, like, Elon Musk's, like, daily schedule. The man
Mhm.
does not sleep, like,
Yeah.
at all. Like, he's up before 5 a.m. and is up working until, like, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. How long is that
That's
sustainable
horrible.
for? How long? And people, like, worship Elon Musk. I think we need to
Yep.
stop that now because he's, like, been saying some real sketch things and doing
Yeah.
some sketchy things. That's a
Yeah.
different kind of episode, but so many people look up to him, and they're like, "Oh, well, to get that, to be, like, the richest man in the world, I need to work nonstop." And the thing is, there's so much going on in the background that people don't know about and don't understand,
Mhm.
you know? Like, we come from the finance world. We know how wealth is generated. When you have it, it's not by working hundreds and hundreds of
24/7.
hours. No, that's not how wealth is generated.
And that's the thing that especially for him to say those things, and it's a well-known quote of his, and I don't know if you had it written down, but, like, "No one ever changed the world in 40 hours a week." Like,
Oh, that one? Oh,
shut up.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know that
But
exact quote.
that's kind of the thing is that there's this impression, not just from him, but, like, literally all over social media. I think we've talked briefly about some of the finance accounts that just really drive us nuts.
Oh, yeah, I almost pulled some of those quotes, but I didn't wanna get myself really riled up.
Yes, where it's, like, just presented as if you just work your ass off and everything you make from either your salary or ownership, like business income, if you're starting your own business and stuff, that your own physical output is going to make you a billionaire. It's not. That's not how it works. That's how you start, but, like, it's not just that.
No, and I think the thing is that, all the influencers and the super wealthy people and the celebrities in the world who are flashing their wealth and saying like, "Oh, I work nonstop." There's things like behind the curtain
Yeah.
going on that a lot of people don't see and they don't understand. Like financial literacy in the
Mhm.
world is almost non-existent. Very few people um know about managing their money
Mhm.
and cash flow. So what we do know though is, okay, if we work all these hours, I get compensated for that. So
Mhm.
that's how like I generate money. Where, lifestyle inflation is not taken into account. There's so much that's not taken into account that actually helps you grow your wealth. Like, yes, working 100 hours a week and getting paid per hour, yeah, like, yeah, maybe that builds the cash flow.
Mhm.
But if you can't keep and manage that money, then it's just going out the door.
Yep. And a kind of really, really pessimistic view to take, and one that I have, is that there is a huge benefit to employers and shareholders that comes from this illusion that if you just work really damn hard, you can get rich because you're going to work really, really hard for somebody else.
Exactly.
So, a nice dark assessment.
Rachel, I want to pick your brain a little bit about the hashtag girl boss.
uh,
So we've kind of talked about hustle culture, like just in general,
mhm.
but what about when it's like just putting that lens on women and, you know, to be a hashtag girl boss, which we should all strive to be, you know, we have to fall victim to working all of these hours, 100 plus hours a week. Um, can't have families, don't have a relationship, no more friends, no more
Mhm.
life because, we need to go out and make a stand and rock at our jobs. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
First of all, why does it have to be called girl boss? Just why do we have to infantilize women is my first question.
Mhm.
Do you have an answer? I don't.
I don't have an answer to that. And really what this is, at least how I see it, it's just a mask
Yeah.
for the hustle culture. But
Mhm.
like it's just like, well, women, if you want to be empowered, this is what you need to do. You need and really
Mhm.
what that is you need to go do this super unhealthy thing that will diminish your mental health
Mhm.
and just take the joy out of life. And it's this false impression that you're climbing the corporate ladder,
Mhm.
but really you're just burning yourself out.
Yeah. I think it's hard to pluck girl bossing out in this lens because I think this issue has always been around for women where it's unfortunate, but we do have to work that much harder than men to get to the same place that they're at.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I feel like it can't be, as women, it can't be our responsibility to fight this because we live in a patriarchal society. And to be totally honest, I feel like this just driving, like, grind yourself into the ground hustle culture has stemmed from a lot of men.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I
Hot
feel like
take.
girl boss is, just a new label for it, really. Like,
Mhm.
that's all it is. Um,
I think it's a way, it's a how it started in my view is the fact that we as women acknowledge that fact that we have to work that much harder, that I feel like it started in a way for us to feel like we can be empowered still in that realm where we know for a fact that we have to work that much harder. Does that make sense?
yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
So, which is sad.
It is. So, anyway, how about we kinda go into our own personal experience
Sure.
with the hustle culture? Rachel, why don't you go first?
Okay, so I feel like I had told one story previously in the podcast. So I'm going to tell another one because I have fallen victim to this many of a times, probably about 2 or 3 times in my young adult life. But mine was more of a symptom of the fact that I had moved to a big city and I couldn't afford to live off the salary that I was being given. So I was working 2 jobs. So basically, I would work 9 to 5:30, 9 to 6 during the week, and then I would work full days as a server on the weekends. So I was really doing myself in with that, where during the week I was mentally tiring myself out, and then on the weekends I was physically tiring myself out. So basically, I was exhausted the whole time. And it started as more just I just wanted to supplement my income a bit, but I don't know if this happened to you too, but I have a weird relationship with hourly positions where I love to see the difference between if I worked 6 hours that day or I worked 10 hours that day. Do you know what I mean? Like seeing how that dollar would change?
Yeah, like, just in your daily pay of what you would get?
Yeah. So what had started as just like, okay, I just need some extra money just to help make ends meet. It turned a bit obsessive where I was really taking on way more than I could. And I was definitely sad. Like I was exhausted and like physically I was tired out. But why I wanted to tell this story specifically was that it triggered a weird binging behavior for me financially. So I was like, I had this thought when I was driving today, and I was like, that's an interesting thing that happened. Where when I originally started to do my side hustle, which was serving, it was just to save some extra money. But with the fact that I was basically working 24/7, I was never giving myself time to enjoy the nice things, like going to see my friends or going out for dinner, maybe like getting myself something cute at Winners, like I never had any time for myself. That it was like once I would get that paycheck from the serving that was supposed to go into savings, I would like literally go into this craze where I would just online shop. So I would like buy something from Sephora, or I would buy something from Old Navy and such, because it felt like, because I had deprived myself and I was feeling so deprived of any of my own personal joys, I would like binge on it. Does that make sense?
I love that you brought this up because I think it fits so well with what we were just talking about earlier in
Mhm.
that, how society, uh, the majority of society knows how to make money is through hourly work.
Mhm.
And that doesn't necessarily mean wealth because the other side of that is how you manage your money and your cash flow.
Mhm.
So, really, that is like the most perfect example right there. So, even though, Rachel, you were working almost 7 days a week,
Mhm.
um, which is a crazy amount because you literally have
Oh,
no downtime.
I literally work 7 days a week. Do you wanna know what my hours were?
Sure.
So, it was 9 to 5:30, but usually I would get on the bus at 8 and I would get home around 6:30. Okay, with my, full-time salary job. And
Right.
then at the worst of it, I would then leave work on Friday and go directly to the place where I was serving to work until close there on Friday nights. I would have until about 4 o'clock on Saturday to like rest. And then I would work from 4 to close on Saturday. And then I would work a 12-hour shift on Sunday.
Yeah. So, all that time and that you were putting in and the money that you got out of it, at the end of it, when you got your paycheck, you really didn't have anything to show for it after that because
Not
it was
really.
gone already because you
Mhm.
had been so deprived and you felt like you need to be social or you need something to boost your mood. This
Mhm.
is what, you know, shopping therapy is all about, retail therapy.
Yep.
Um, because you needed to compensate for all that lost downtime of just being with yourself. And I
Mhm.
think that this happens to so many people. And it's really where the burnout starts because they're
Mhm.
putting all this time in, but then, they never do have enough money for that vacation or to buy their home or to be able to quit that second job
Mhm.
because they're so deprived that the cash is just gone or they just don't have the knowledge of how to manage it, which is just a sad reality for so many people.
It is. And another thing that I remember going on with me was because, like, you've served as well, like, you know how physically exhausting
Oh, it's like
that
one of the
is
most demanding jobs, like
ever.
for a job that you can really uh just kinda get and you do actually make good cash
Mhm.
serving. Like, I really loved it for the cash, but, like, man, my body at the end of the day, oh,
It was in rough shape.
I was in rough shape. Like, I was just on my feet for so many hours,
Mhm.
and you'd be in the heat, in the sun, the cold, like, it didn't matter what you were doing, like, that is a physically demanding job.
Yeah. And the problem was is that since I had to work 7 days a week, I never got any rest, so it was almost like my work during the week was exhausting me for my work on the weekend, so I wasn't performing as well for my work on the weekend, and then my work on the weekend was exhausting me, so I wasn't performing as well as I could during my work during the week,
Yeah, and one thing
which
I wanna insert here, because you had mentioned it, many, many episodes ago, but it's
Mhm.
is it bedtime revenge?
Oh, revenge bedtime procrastination. Yes, I would do
Yes.
that too.
Yeah.
I did not get much sleep, even though, like, I was very lucky with where I worked serving that I'd be home by 9:30. Does not mean I went to bed then.
No, because probably all you wanted to do was, like, throw on a Netflix show and
Mhm.
just, like, try to unwind, but then that would keep you up until, like, midnight, and then you'd have to be up to
Mhm.
do it all over again.
Yeah. And I think that this is a big problem that is happening is that I shouldn't have had to work 2 jobs. considering I was working full time in a office position that was like a career, like this is a career path.
Yeah, like it was an entry-level position,
But
but
still,
one would hope that that position, regardless of what it is,
mhm.
would pay for your basic necessities.
Yeah, and I think that symptom of the current employment landscape where for you're not getting paid appropriately is really like cutting people down at the ankles. Like I was not in my best state of mind to perform to the best of my ability in my actual job for my career, and I'm definitely not the first person that has gone through that.
No.
And it feels like then employers would get mad and be like, "Oh, well, why?" Not really speaking from personal experience, but I've heard stories like this where it's just like, "Oh, well, why aren't you performing well?" And it's just like, I literally have to work every day of my life so that I can stay in this position. That's why I'm
Yeah.
not performing that well.
And how messed up is that, that, like, I have to work another job so I can go to this job. Like,
Yeah. I
that is
remember
that is the, like, most fucked up thing ever.
I my one of my experiences that is so like, oh my god, I will never forget this. There was a meeting at 9 a.m. on Monday, right?
Mhm.
And I was literally working like a Christmas banquet on the Sunday. So I was not on my emails. And my boss almost missed the 9 a.m. meeting. And when they came in, they go, "Oh, well, when we have a Monday meeting, you should remind me the day before." And I'm like, "I'm literally at my other job so that I can come to this job. No, I'm not going to remind you on a Sunday about your
And
meeting."
yeah, and okay, this just kinda popped up in my head, but weren't they mad that you had another job?
Oh, I never told them because they had a bad opinion about quote unquote moonlighting.
Right, that's what it was,
Yes.
moonlighting. So, instead of, avoiding this situation altogether and paying their employees a livable wage,
Mhm.
they just condemned it. And they're like, "Don't know
Yes.
how you're gonna make rent and eat, but, like, you can't have another job."
Yep. So, and I definitely wasn't the only one there who was serving. I just kept it a bit more of a secret, I think.
Right.
So, yeah, um, those are my thoughts. I really wanted to share that story because, like, I was driving along today and I was like, which experience am I gonna bring up? And then I remembered how I literally would, like, get paid, and then just because I hadn't had any joys over that course of 2 weeks, I would be like, "Okay, $400 at Sephora, let's do it." I did not have that to spend.
Yeah, I think that's the most, like, brilliant example, and it fits in so well with so many different people's experience. So I really think that's, like, relatable, and it
Mhm.
just emphasizes how, toxic and dangerous that this culture is.
It is, and it's especially dangerous because of the fact that, you know, I'm looking at my notes now and I had some tips to like overcome it and, work yourself out of hustle culture. But like the thing is that I wasn't doing it because I wanted to. It's like it's fine and dandy to be like, "Oh, well, don't hustle." But it's like in a lot of cases, you absolutely that is how you survive.
It is how you survive, and that's what really gets me going the most is that okay, I think I've said it like a million times already, but, you know, we shouldn't have to work 2 jobs to live 1 life,
No.
yet that's what everything has come to, and, we're from Canada, and I know, like, the problem is bad here, and I think it's, like, bad everywhere, and
Mhm.
especially down in the States, like, it's just terrible what people have to
Mhm.
do just to keep the lights on.
Yeah. So, what a fun, positive episode. Love it.
Right.
Do you want to jump into your example? I'm excited for yours because you really were the hustle queen for
Oh
a
my
while
god, that's
there.
exactly how I was gonna open with.
I got you.
Yep, I was the hustle queen, and I wore overworking as a badge of honor. Oh god, looking back, it's just like,
You really monetized quite a few of your hobbies.
everything. Rachel,
Everything.
at the peak of it, I had between 6 and 7 different ways I was earning money.
Yep,
I
you were
don't even know.
even
I don't even know how I lived because, I work full-time now, and, I am guilty of sometimes working a little bit late, but, I
Mhm,
do try and balance that with, like, "Okay, you know what? I worked an extra 2 hours yesterday. I'm gonna, you know, chill a little bit more today." So, I have
mhm,
gotten better in that sense, but when I think about what I would do in a day,
mhm.
um, I don't know how I did it because I would literally do, at minimum, 3 of those different jobs in one day,
Well,
and
I mean, you were even monetizing your sleeping
my
with your house
sleeping.
sitting.
Yeah, because I would like I was the master at layering, and I think I will share this one peak. So I technically had 2 full-time jobs. One, I would work about 4 days a week, and then the other one, I would do sales calls, and then I would be in the office on that 5th day. Um,
Mhm,
so there was 2 full-time jobs, like, I was working a full day and then having to do the other one in
mhm,
between that, during that sometimes. Um, and then I would be usually house sitting,
mhm.
and okay, a lot of people know, like, horses are life. Um, I would usually be house sitting at someone who had horses, so I would also be doing massage therapy on their horses, so making money from sleeping at their house and working on their horses. Oh, and if you drink tea, I sold you tea. Um, and
Still
then on
does.
yeah, I still do. You know what? That is really just for my own addiction, so I don't have to spend so much money. So that was a
Fair enough.
smart one. I like that one because it's no money out of my pocket. It's just like tea in my cupboard. Um, and then on the weekends, I would also serve at
Yep.
the local restaurant. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
how did I do that? No one saw me. You had to catch me somewhere along my route,
Yeah.
um,
I would see
to
you at the
see me.
farm.
Yeah, that was really when I would just emerge and take, like, an hour or 2
Mhm.
to chill.
To be
Um,
working in some way, though, considering it was exercise.
oh, I'm pretty sure yeah, it was either, like, exercising a horse or I was actually doing the stalls. So again, monetize that. Um,
Mhm.
if it could be monetized, I did it. And,
It was
um
really great. It was a good time.
Same yeah, and same thing with you, Rachel, like, yes, I had, like, really good cash flow, um, but, like, not s like, because at the time, I wasn't as financially literate as
Mhm.
I am now. I was on my way, like, I was like, learning about investing, and I was trying to learn,
Mhm.
but I still had a lot of bad habits to overcome, so very similar to you, I wasn't getting wealthy
Mhm.
working 6 to 7 jobs. I
No.
was literally just getting by. And I
We
think that's
did
definitely where, like, lifestyle inflation comes
yeah.
in.
We did have a bit of an airy addiction
That was
going
true.
on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had, like, shopping addictions, like, so I feel like, we are not out of the norm for people who have to work multiple jobs, like, we all kinda suck at it,
Mhm.
um, to be honest. So, that was so bad, and you know what? I was working towards some savings goals, and yes, I did hit them. One big thing was going on our trip, and, like, I that was really the peak when I was working my ass off,
Mhm.
um, to be able to pay, like, cash for that trip, but, like, on top of that, I still had to pay for my living expenses
Mhm.
and my bills. So, it had a time and a place in
Mhm.
my life. Could I go back to doing that now? Absolutely not. I
No.
am pushing 30. Um,
I am old.
yeah, no. No, I am like, "Oh, it's time for the end of the day. Okay, goodbye. Like I'm not doing anything else.
I
Um,
clock out and I lie on my couch.
yeah, yeah. I have other things to do with my life, but like I was so proud. I was able to tell people exactly how much I was making every hour of the day.
So similar to what I was doing
Yeah.
of
And,
that.
like, how messed up is that? It's so messed
Oh
up, like
yeah.
and I had this huge complex that if if I took a day off or time off, which I didn't, I never took holidays, because I didn't get paid, and to me, this
Mhm.
was, like, the worst thing ever because all of my jobs were either service-based or time-based, so it's not like a salary job, which, yes, you know, it has its pros and cons, but at least when you take time off, like, you're still getting your regular paycheck.
Mhm.
So I had, like, a fear of idle time,
Yep.
and I would panic if I thought I was resting too much.
Mhm.
Like, I would have a literal panic attack over
Mhm.
it because I would think that I was lazy and I wasn't trying and, like, I was a failure. Um, it was just such a toxic mindset, and it is literally taking me years to get over it. And it
Mhm.
was just a very gradual thing of learning to be okay with not working and
Mhm.
not feeling like a failure if I took a holiday. Um, I really had to step back and I literally went from 100 to 0 because I hit a wall that I was just so burnt out that I couldn't do any of those things anymore.
Mhm.
Like, I literally had nothing left in the tank. It was all I could do just to work one full-time job
Mhm.
because I was so physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
Um, so it's taken me a long time to recover, but I think in that, um, I'll sometimes, like, find myself slipping into that pattern of just like, "Oh, what if I just got, like, some little side business
Mhm.
going?" And I'm like, "No, no, Laura, you cannot go down that road anymore because now I have so much more appreciation of and value towards my time and myself,
Mhm.
really. Like, I respect
Mhm.
myself a lot more not to put
Mhm.
myself through that physical and mental strain. Um, but yeah, it was a very long road to get
Mhm.
this far. And before people, like, add us, this podcast, yes, is a business.
It's our little side hustle, but it's fun.
I know, but this is something that, like, it doesn't take us a lot of time every week, and I absolutely enjoy sitting down with my best friend and just talking about shit like this. Like,
Oh.
to me, this is not a job.
No.
So, that is why when we at first, like, talked about doing this, I did have to sit with myself and just being like, "Okay, well, like, am I gonna fall into a pattern and, get myself all wound up thinking I should always be doing something?" And luckily, like, when you have a friend to do it with,
Mhm.
I've been able just to be like, "Okay, that was time for full-time job work. We're gonna do a little bit with the podcast, and that's it for the week." So,
Woo!
yeah, I think it's just, like, I have to be very selective about what I do because anything that requires, um, like, an hourly commitment of my time for pay, I know is just super not okay for me
Yeah.
because like you, Rachel, like, I'll count up those hours and be just like, "Yeah, I made this much," and I really don't wanna go back there.
No. No,
So,
I don't either. It's a
yeah.
very obsessive thing.
Yeah, so I really am trying to focus on that mindset of quantity. Sorry, whoa. Whoa,
Whoa.
whoa. Whoa,
We're
backpedaler.
really off track here.
Yes. So sorry. I'm really trying to focus on the quality over quantity. And yes, when you have things that are quality based for businesses and side jobs, um, the return is not always immediate,
Mhm.
but over time, your hard work into it is going to be exponentially more beneficial with still you not having to put a certain number of hours in. And that has been a big thing for me to learn, where before it was all about like, okay, I want like cash now. So with that, you kind of have to give up your time for that cash, where now I'm just like, okay, like, no, we don't live off the podcast.
Nope.
But
Maybe
who
one
knows?
day.
Maybe one day it'll be that nice supplement and we'll still be sitting here on a Wednesday evening just talking and drinking tea. So those are my life lessons. I hope you enjoyed them.
I did. I'm just like, geez, I'm just gonna let you go because I've got nothing to add to your life lessons right now.
I feel like whenever like I have a life lesson to share about work, I'm like, gather around, children. Let me tell you of my failures.
You're like
Not
Rachel,
failures, my
silence.
life experience.
You're like Rachel, silence.
um,
Teacher is talking.
yes. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit and focus a little bit more on the positive, because we
There's
both agree.
positives.
Yes, I have positives. I brought the positives.
Okay. I
I
didn't.
tried. Oh, you didn't? I love it.
I didn't know we
Rachel,
were
fuck
talking
this
about
shit.
positive. I didn't know we were talking about positives.
That's okay. I brought some positives
Great.
because I think we both acknowledge that we just unfortunately do not live in a world where one job is going to be enough financially, which I do hope that it changes, but that could be in the future and we need to look at the now. So, like our little disclaimer at the very beginning, we are not against people having second jobs
No.
and businesses and that kind of stuff. That's not where we're throwing shade. But there are some things, if you do want a business, you should kind of consider. So one thing is, don't do what everything. So the first thing is, shut up. So the first thing is, don't do what everyone else is doing. And I feel like influencers are the dirty culprits here, because we never see the time and all the work that went into them growing their following. Like, some people get lucky, other people it takes them years to get to like millions of followers and their influence to a point where it's like sustainable to live off of. But the thing is, they're sort of throwing out like their flashy cars, their flashy home, all their holidays that they get, and there's so much that people don't see behind that. So if you're someone who like us hates Instagram,
Yes.
don't become an Instagram influencer.
Yes.
Just because someone else is doing that, it doesn't mean that that's the only thing. And really, you need to pick something that you like. So, if you like walking dogs, walk dogs.
It's like a genius idea. I should have done that.
Yeah, like I know so many people who love to organize things and paint, and they have businesses where they organize people's closets and homes, or they like paint their walls. Next, it doesn't have to become your main income. And I feel like that's
That's
also
very
another.
important.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that's like thrust upon us that we should all. I think a popular meme is like, I'd rather hustle 24/7 than slave 9 to 5. I'm pretty sure that's
My
what it is.
God.
And not everyone needs or wants to be their own boss. Okay. And like, that's a hard thing to do as well. And some people, like, they don't have an interest in that, and it's fine. So the point of that is, it's okay if you feel like you need to have a little side business or a little side job for a purpose. Like saving for a holiday or saving for a house. it doesn't have to be something that is going to be like changing your whole life just so you can run your company. If it becomes that, cool, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just a short-term thing, awesome. You know, it's fine to want to work for other people. Especially if you work with a really great company
Mm-hmm.
and you're helping them build that dream and they treat you fairly, awesome. You know, go with
Mm-hmm.
that. Don't feel like you need to be the one with the business. And yeah, just off of that, like you don't have to do it forever.
Yep.
So those are some of my tips if you want a side business.
Mm-hmm. That was all quality. Thank you.
No problem. So
I enjoyed
see,
that.
I did have a little bit of positive. I brought it. And I think the main thing is there's a false impression that it's easy, and
Yep.
it's not.
No.
It's really not. It's very hard. As someone who has had her own little side businesses, they take a while to grow,
Mm-hmm.
and they are a lot of work, especially to maintain and keep doing them. So yeah, just acknowledge that. I hate when you see those ads and it's just like, I made $75,000 this month and you can too. No, no, you can't.
Yeah.
That person, it probably took them years to make $75,000 a month. It's not going to take you a month. I can tell you that
No.
right now. So, yeah, the idea is that if you're not working all the time, you're failing at life. And newsflash, humans are fundamentally not supposed to work 24/7.
No.
No.
And one last point that I would like to make on this is that especially if you're trying to overcome this, is to really take a look at your definition of success. Because I think that this culture and just hustle culture as a whole has created the illusion that unless you are working all the time and like a millionaire, you are not successful in any way. And that's really toxic and what really drives this culture. So, just a nice question to ask yourself is how can you adjust your definition of success so it promotes a healthier lifestyle moving forward? Like, can you change it so that it includes your relationships, or even what's the actual impact that you want to have on the world? Because impact does not necessarily equate to compensation.
Oh, so true. Very true.
So,
Yeah, you define success because there's lots of unhappy people with lots of money. So,
yep.
money, I think once you have like you're able to get your basics covered and how you want to live your lifestyle,
Mhm.
you don't need to keep hustling and hustling to have more and more and more because it doesn't necessarily mean more happiness or more
Mhm.
friends. Um, and there's actually one more thing I want to talk to you about, Rachel.
Mhm.
Um, Cottagecore. Have you heard of cottagecore?
Cottagecore is me.
So it's kind of funny. So cottagecore is kind of like this anti hustle culture movement
Mhm.
where people are kind of trying to return to like a more simple life. Like the extremists are literally like moving out of cities onto farms and living a self-sustaining lifestyle.
Mhm.
Like awesome for those people. I don't know if I could do that, but it's just trying to step away from the rat race a little bit. And when I was reading this one article, I had to laugh because uh, COVID actually really put the fast forward on this movement because so many people were opening their eyes and realizing that, like, man, we've all just been working too hard. Like, we work
Yep.
way too hard in North America, and we do actually need to take a break. And someone had mentioned that the theme song for cottagecore is
Mhm.
Folklore and Evermore by Taylor Swift. And it's so true. So true. Like the lakes is cottagecore right there.
Yep. I feel like cottagecore is me and I am cottagecore. That is my thoughts on that. I just aspire. I aspire for that life.
Yes, same here.
I did indeed move out of the city and onto a rural property.
I love it.
Yep. Live in that cottagecore life. No, I don't have anything left to say. Do you?
No, I think that's everything for me.
Take care of yourselves, guys. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, you're not doing your best work if you're always overwhelmed and stressed. So go easy on yourself out there.
Yeah, we were not designed to work 24/7,
No.
so don't work 24/7. Just enjoy your
Hmm.
life because you only get one to live.
Indeed.
And with that, live like tea.
Live like tea.